When we think of the greatest players of the 2000s, names like LeBron and Kobe often come to mind. But what if I told you that for a brief stretch, Carmelo Anthony was playing on that same level, and somehow his greatness with the Nuggets gets forgotten? During his time in Denver, Melo averaged 24.8 points, had 119 games with 30-plus points, and consistently outplayed the best players in the league, all while making the playoffs every year. It was a historic run, but to fully understand how impressive it was, we have to go back to 2003. Carmelo was a superstar at Syracuse University. In his one and only year of playing college basketball, he averaged 22.2 points, 10 rebounds, and led his team to a national championship. With a resume like that, Anthony would surely be selected number 1 overall, right? Well, no, because 18-year-old LeBron James was in that same draft class, and everyone knew LeBron was the chosen one, so he was a lock at number 1. So this meant Carmelo would go number 2, right? Well, he should have, but the Pistons chose to select Darko Milicic. Yeah, don't even get me started on that one. So Carmelo, after having a historic season in college, dropped down to the number 3 pick, which was owned by the Denver Nuggets.
The Denver Nuggets select Carmelo Anthony from Syracuse University.
As a prospect, Carmelo was compared to former NBA All-Star Glenn Robinson. Based on what they saw in college, NBA executives knew Anthony was a big wing who could score in many ways, but they weren't sold that he was going to be a superstar at the NBA level. But Carmelo would quickly prove people wrong. After an up-and-down first 4 games of his NBA career, the pressure was on for Melo. And on November 5th, 2003, the spotlight was going to be all over him, because the Denver Nuggets were traveling to Cleveland to play the chosen one LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The LeBron-Carmelo rivalry dated all the way back to high school, and now they were matched up in an NBA game. While this game was back and forth, both Carmelo and LeBron struggled. Carmelo showed some flashes, scoring 12 points in the first half, but he ended with just 14. However, he clearly did outperform LeBron, who ended the game with just 7 points, shooting 3 of 11 from the field. The Nuggets went on to win this game, 93-89, and just like that, Carmelo had outperformed and beat the number 1 pick in the draft. Carmelo's up-and-down season would continue, and after his first 13 games, he averaged 17 points and 7 rebounds, but he was only shooting 36% from the field. But on November 25th, 2003, Carmelo would start his first big hot streak in the NBA. This all started in a matchup versus the Phoenix Suns. Carmelo had a solid shooting night, scoring 17 points on 6 of 13 shooting, while also adding 7 rebounds and 5 assists. The Nuggets went on to win this game by 30, and just a few days later, Carmelo again put up big numbers. This time the Nuggets were matched up against the Dallas Mavericks, and Melo dropped 26. People were starting to see Carmelo adjust to the speed and physicality of the NBA game, and he was just getting started. The Nuggets were winning games, and Melo was playing better, but on December 2nd, he was set to have his rematch versus King James. Carmelo Anthony knew that LeBron would be trying to get his get back during this game. However, Melo was playing his best basketball of the season, so he wasn't going to go down easy. Both Melo and LeBron got off to a slow start in this game. At halftime, James had just 7 points, and Anthony had 6, but this would all change in the second half, because Carmelo went off. In that half, Melo dropped 20 points on 7 of 11 shooting, and LeBron shot just 4 of 14. Because of Melo, the Nuggets went on to win 115-103. This meant that Carmelo was now 2-0 against LeBron, outplaying him in both matchups. Over the next 2 games, Carmelo's hot streak continued. He scored 26 points, then 28 points in back-to-back wins versus the Golden State Warriors. Over this 6-game stretch, Carmelo averaged 22.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. He also shot 49.4% from the field and led the Nuggets to a 6-0 record. At this point in the season, Carmelo was clearly playing the best basketball of any rookie in the NBA. LeBron was putting up solid numbers, but he was shooting below 40% from the field, and the Cavs had a 4-15 record, while the Nuggets were 13-6, and Carmelo was averaging 18.8 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 3.2 assists. Despite Carmelo clearly playing better, LeBron's name was keeping him ahead of Anthony in the Rookie of the Year race, and this would become a trend throughout the 2003-2004 season. Because no matter how well Carmelo played, it was LeBron who was the center of attention. Melo would go on to have some amazing moments during his rookie season. A month after he beat LeBron, Melo and the Nuggets had a home game versus Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. This was a statement game for Carmelo, as many considered Kobe to be one of, if not the best player in the world at this time. In this game, Melo didn't back down to Kobe. In fact, he outplayed him. Kobe did score 27 points, but he shot just 8 of 23 from the field and had 6 turnovers. Carmelo ended the game with 20 points on 8 of 17 shooting. He also added 8 rebounds and 6 assists, and the Nuggets won the game, 113-91. At just 19 years old, Carmelo was showing that he could not only compete with the best players in the world, but he could outplay them. Carmelo would continue to play well during his rookie year, but in the month of February, he put together another hot streak. And we're gonna get more into that, but if you liked the video so far, go ahead and subscribe. Melo started his hot February stretch by scoring 39 points on 14 of 22 shooting in a win versus the Portland Trail Blazers. And then just 1 week later, he led the Nuggets to 3 straight wins, beating the Grizzlies, the Trail Blazers, and the 76ers. In these games, Melo averaged about 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. But he was only getting started, because on February 20th, 2004, Carmelo and the Nuggets would face off against Tracy McGrady and the Orlando Magic. T-Mac was averaging about 28, 6, and 6, and he was considered to be one of the best players in the league. On top of that, during their first matchup earlier in the season, McGrady dropped 51 on Melo. But Carmelo Anthony was ready for T-Mac this game, because he got off to a hot start, scoring 21 in the first half. And in the second half, Melo kept it rolling, ending the game with 35 points to T-Mac's 15. While the Nuggets lost this game by 4, Carmelo once again outplayed a top player in the world. And 5 days later, he was once again matched up against Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe and Melo dueled this game, each ending with 35 points. Kobe did lead the Lakers to a win over the Nuggets, but Melo would quickly bounce back, ending off his insane month of February by scoring 25 points in a win versus the New York Knicks. Carmelo played in 12 games during this month, and he averaged 27.1 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.6 assists, while shooting an efficient 49.2% from the field. But despite this amazing month, Carmelo still wasn't considered the frontrunner for Rookie of the Year. In February, LeBron also put up solid numbers, averaging 21.2 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.7 assists on 41% shooting. But it wasn't as impressive as what Carmelo was doing for the Nuggets. It seemed like no matter what Carmelo did, he wasn't going to be named Rookie of the Year. And when the 2003-2004 regular season ended, this proved to be true, because while at face value, Carmelo and LeBron put up similar numbers, you must also realize that the Nuggets ended the season with a 43-39 record, good for the 8th seed in the tougher Western Conference, while LeBron led the Cavs to a 35-47 record. Both the Cavs and the Nuggets finished tied for last in the NBA the previous season, so Carmelo appeared to help his team improve more than LeBron did. But despite that, NBA voters decided to go with King James as the Rookie of the Year. Melo was still named to the All-Rookie First Team, and finished at number 14 in the NBA MVP voting, further proving his value to the Nuggets organization. Being the 8th seed, the Nuggets matched up against the 1-seeded Timberwolves in the first round of the playoffs. Carmelo did have one good game this series, scoring 24 points in a Game 3 win, but he just wasn't ready at this time to take over in the playoffs. He was only 19 years old, and because of that, the T-Wolves went on to win in 5 games. So just like that, Carmelo's rookie season came to a close. He had his fair share of highs and lows during this season, but he showed the world that he could outperform the league's best players on any given night. During Carmelo's second season in the NBA, he didn't take the leap many fans had hoped. He did have some good moments, including 30 points in a win versus Vince Carter and the Raptors, and back-to-back 36-point games to end the regular season. But Carmelo's numbers ended up being about the same as they were during his rookie season. He averaged 20.8 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. The Nuggets did, however, finish the regular season with a 49-33 record, the best for the franchise in the last 17 years. Going into the 2005 playoffs, the Nuggets were the 7th seed, matched up against the 2-seeded San Antonio Spurs. Again, Carmelo and the Nuggets were outmatched in this series. Melo's playoff performances were better than the previous year, but they still lost in 5 games. This season was a letdown for Anthony, as he was not named an All-Star or to an All-NBA team, and he lost in the first round again. This gave him tons of motivation heading into the 2005-2006 season, and this is truly when we saw Carmelo Anthony emerge into a superstar. Early on in this season, Carmelo got straight to work. He put together a 4-game stretch where he averaged about 26 points and 8 rebounds, while leading the Nuggets to a 4-0 record in those games. In his best game during this stretch, he dropped 31 points versus a rookie Chris Paul and the Hornets. Carmelo continued to have monster games this season, but on January 18th, he would once again be set to go against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Going into this game, Carmelo had a 3-2 record against LeBron, but LeBron had been putting up monster numbers during this season. He was averaging 30.9 points, 6.1 assists, and 6.7 rebounds, and was considered to be the MVP favorite by some media members. The game was competitive overall, but with under 30 seconds left, it was tied, and the Nuggets had the ball. This is when Carmelo made a signature play.
To Anthony, will Newble get some help? Anthony, baseline, soaring dunk! Wow!
The Nuggets managed to secure another win against Cleveland, so Melo was now 4-2 against LeBron, and he had outshined the King in most of their matchups. Anthony was proving that he was on track to be a megastar, and after the first 42 games of this season, he had scored 30 or more points in 12 different games, and had scored 40 or more in 4 games. Melo was only 21, but he kept showing NBA fans that he was going to be special. And when the 2005-2006 season ended, we saw just how much Carmelo's numbers had improved. He ended the year averaging 26.5 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 2.7 assists on a career-best 48.1% from the field. This earned him a selection on the All-NBA third team. The Nuggets did also see some solid success as a team, finishing the season with a 44-38 record. In round 1, they were matched up against the 6th-seeded Los Angeles Clippers, who were led by Sam Cassell and Elton Brand. Carmelo did lead all players in points per game this series, but he played below the standard he set for himself during the regular season. And because of that, the Nuggets lost in 5 games. This marked the end of Carmelo's 3rd season in the NBA, and he had yet to get past the first round of the playoffs. This put a target on Melo's back. Media members now started the narrative that Anthony was a selfish player, and he was unable to lead a team to a deep playoff run. While some of the criticism may have been justified, when you look at the Nuggets roster, they weren't underachieving. Carmelo was the only true superstar on the team, but Melo continued to block out the hate, and he went into the 2006-2007 season with a chip on his shoulder. Carmelo started this season off by dominating the league. After the first 21 games, he was averaging 31.5 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.1 assists on over 50% shooting. But things would turn for Melo, because on December 15th, in a game versus the New York Knicks, Carmelo made a huge mistake. During this game, Melo was going off like he had been all season, but with the game near the end and the Nuggets up big, a brawl ensued. And in the midst of this brawl, Carmelo threw a punch at Knicks role player Marty Collins. 7 players were suspended as a result of this in-game fight, but Carmelo received the harshest suspension, being forced to sit out 15 games. This was very difficult for both Carmelo and the Nuggets organization. However, it wasn't all bad in Denver, because just 4 days after Carmelo got suspended, the Nuggets made a trade that sent Andre Miller and Joe Smith to the 76ers in exchange for superstar Allen Iverson. The Nuggets finally paired Carmelo with another star-caliber player, but there were a lot of questions on if this duo would work well together. At the time, AI and Melo were considered 2 of the most ball-dominant players in the NBA, and pair them with known gunner J.R. Smith, the Nuggets had to figure out how to get their talented roster to play well together. When Carmelo returned from suspension, AI and him put up monster scoring numbers. Melo ended the season averaging a career-best 28.9 points a game, and AI averaged 24.8 points while playing with Melo. However, the Nuggets weren't meeting expectations as a team. They ended the year 25-20 after the Allen Iverson trade, and overall they finished 6th in the West with a 45-37 record. This meant they had to play the Spurs in the first round of the 2007 playoffs. The Spurs were loaded this season, and while Carmelo and AI were the 2 highest scorers in this series, the Nuggets lost in 5 games. This series highlighted something crucial. Carmelo didn't need to be paired with another high-usage player. He needed a well-rounded star to complement his game. Don't get me wrong, Allen Iverson was a great player, but the fit between him and Melo was not a match made in heaven. This was highlighted even more in the 2007-2008 season, because while Iverson and Melo had some good moments, like combining for 73 points in a win versus the Houston Rockets, people could tell the Nuggets weren't a championship-level team with them as a duo. The Nuggets did end the season with 50 wins, and both Carmelo and AI were named NBA All-Stars. But going into the 2008 NBA playoffs, Denver was the 8th seed and matched up against the 1-seeded Lakers, led by prime Kobe Bryant. To no one's surprise, the Lakers swept the Nuggets, and we really saw just how much a change was needed in Denver. People around the NBA knew Melo wasn't the problem. He was only 23 years old and was improving every season. So just 3 games into Carmelo's 6th NBA season, the Nuggets decided to make another trade. This time, they were sending Allen Iverson to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for former Finals MVP Chauncey Billups. Chauncey not only brought championship experience to the Nuggets, but he was also more of a floor general and leader than Allen Iverson, which was exactly what Carmelo needed to take his game to the next level. Throughout the season, the Nuggets were a very good team, but as the regular season got near the end, Carmelo and Billups hit their stride, and they showed the whole NBA that they were a real finals contender. This stretch started on March 11, 2009, when they were matched up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Carmelo scored 22 points as the Nuggets beat OKC 112-99, but this was only the beginning, because the Nuggets continued to stay hot, winning 4 more games in a row. And as for our guy Carmelo, he was continuing to dominate, putting up impressive scoring numbers. On March 27th, Carmelo went off for 42 points in a 2-point win versus the Dallas Mavericks, and the very next day, he dropped 31 as the Nuggets beat the Warriors 129-116, led by Carmelo with the help of Chauncey Billups, of course. The Nuggets ended up going 13-1 over a 14-game span. In that stretch, Melo averaged 26.1 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. But this was made even more possible by Chauncey Billups' elite point guard play. In those 14 games, he averaged 7.9 assists and only 2.4 turnovers, while also shooting 48.4% from 3. The duo of Carmelo and Chauncey had teams in the West scared. They ended the season with a 54-28 record, good for the number 2 seed in the West, and they were set to play Chris Paul and the New Orleans Hornets in round 1 of the playoffs. CP3 put up a good fight during the series, but Carmelo and Billups dominated the Hornets. The Nuggets got up 3-1, and in Game 5, Melo dropped 34 points on 13 of 25 shooting. This led the Nuggets to a 107-86 win, and their first playoff series win since 1994. In round 2, the Nuggets were matched up against Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks. The Mavs upset the 3-seeded San Antonio Spurs in round 1, and many media members thought they were going to be too much for the Nuggets to handle. But Carmelo proved all of them wrong. He averaged 30 points per game in this series, as Denver coasted past Dallas in 5. But a familiar face was waiting for Carmelo in the conference finals: Kobe Bryant. In 2009, Kobe was widely considered to be the best player in the world, and the Lakers were on a different level during the entire 2008-2009 season. They ended the regular season with a 64-18 record, but the Nuggets were rolling in the playoffs, and they felt like they could beat anyone. In a huge Game 1, Carmelo and Kobe traded buckets, but with 10 seconds left, the Nuggets were down by 2, and one mistake cost them everything.
On Anthony, they guarded each other much of this fourth quarter. Trevor Ariza went to steal. Ariza tiptoes and will bring it back out.
That late game turnover was a play that championship level teams don't make. Carmelo had 39 points that game, and he deserves a chance to make a game-tying or game-winning shot. The Nuggets did end up winning 2 of their next 3 games, but they just didn't have enough to beat that stacked Lakers team 4 times, especially after giving Game 1 away. They lost that series in 6 games, and the Lakers went on to dominate the Orlando Magic in the NBA Finals. Carmelo had his fair share of high and low moments during that series, but he did go head-to-head with prime Kobe Bryant, and while Kobe got the better of him, Melo brought him to the brink. After that heartbreaking loss, Denver still had high hopes going into the 2009-2010 season, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to take another step to get to the next level. Melo did have some memorable moments during that year, like dropping 40 in a 2-point overtime win versus LeBron and the Cavs.
Anthony, played by James. Anthony with a shot, yes!
And scoring 50 in a close win versus the Knicks. But the Nuggets finished the season with just the 4th seed in the West, and were eliminated by the Utah Jazz in the first round. In the 2010-2011 season, the Nuggets started with a 30-26 record, but while that was going on, Carmelo requested a trade. And on February 21st, 2011, he got his wish. He was traded to the New York Knicks in a massive 12-player deal. And just like that, his time in Denver came to an end. While he never brought a championship to the Nuggets organization, he did do some great things for the franchise. He led the team to their first conference finals in over 20 years, helped them have multiple 50-plus win seasons, and individually became one of the best players in the world. It's important that NBA fans remember the good and not just the bad about Carmelo's Denver run. And while his time there wasn't perfect, he showed the world that he could go off versus any team, any player, on any given night.